Yeah, I'm getting a bit scruffy. But then again, it's No Shave November, ladies and gentlemen. So you're going to see Beard Mario soon. Hello and welcome back. It's another episode of What You Missed News. I'm glad to have you here. So take a seat, get yourself some coffee or water or soda or something. Make yourself at home. I want this environment to feel homey for you. This is new media, folks. The old media giants are going to be dead soon due to their panning of gamers. If you haven't seen my recent video about NBC saying that all gamers are facilitating the rise of the alt-right, please go ahead and check that out, because you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. With all that said, let's just jump right into the news, ladies and gentlemen. Nintendo is going to be releasing a Zelda 2DS bundle and a Breath of the Wild Explorer Edition as well. So this is going to be the 2DS looking green like Zelda with some kind of yellow buttons. I think they should look more gold, but they're yellow. Anyways, it's very thematic. It reminds me a lot more of Luigi than Link, but it's going to have Ocarina of Time 3D installed on it. Very silly because Ocarina of Time 3D has 3D in the name and it's a 2DS. So whatever, that's cool that you get a really cool game with that. That's a great game and a great bundle to get, but there's also an Explorer's edition of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is going to be the game itself, the guide, which is the Explorer's Guide with some tremendously beautiful art on it, and a map as well to reference, which is kind of important when you're playing the game. You know, if you don't like pausing the game a lot of the time, that would be something you would want to look out for. So if you're planning on getting a Nintendo Switch and the Mario bundle, but you also want Zelda, this might be a viable option for you coming up on Black Friday or Christmas. So Nintendo is aiming also for 2 to 3 new smartphone applications annually. Annually would mean every 6 months to a year. This is a 6-month financial briefing for fiscal 2018. This is important because they're talking to the people who are actually giving them money to develop games. That would be the shareholders, the important shareholders, the executives, and things like that. And they're telling them their plan, and they're outlining the plan, stating, quote, "We will continue services for applications that have already been released as well." So I'm not really sure if they're really saying that it's going to be new, because Super Mario Run's going to be updated to Super Mario Run version 3.0. So there you go. We'll have to see what games are going to be coming out. Of course, we know Animal Crossing's coming out, but for next year, who knows? I think it's anyone's guess at this point in time. And speaking of smartphones, Razer is making gaming phones now. So if you didn't know, Razer is a gaming company that's very focused on gaming. Some people like them, some people don't. They're very edgy in the style that they go for, black and green. So it really depends on you as a person if you like that. There's smartphones that are going to be out soon, aimed specifically for gaming, and this is exactly what I said needed to be happening to make the smartphone games marketplace a lot better instead of just shovelware trash. Ladies and gentlemen, this face when the smartphone that is coming out in a few days is better than your computer itself, the desktop, not the laptop, the desktop. Yeah, seriously, this phone is more powerful than my computer. So this November it's going to be releasing, and it's going to be $700, which is still cheaper than the iPhone X. You could buy this and, I don't know, probably an Xbox One bundle with a bunch of games and still have money left over for pizza for the next week while you have fun playing your games and showing off your new smartphone. Something to consider, ladies and gentlemen. If you want specs and the details about this phone, you can check the links in the description below. It's a very nice, big smartphone, and I'm actually tempted to get it myself, but I like my Edge, so I think I'm going to keep that for now. Super Mario Odyssey also has sold 2 million copies in 3 days. Count them, 1, 2, 3 days. So that's really cool, man. Awesome. But something that you need to realize and be aware of, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to continue selling well. Because if this was a major game that was on the Switch, yeah, and yes, it was, and a lot of people were anticipating it, if it's one of the only games people were going to be buying for the Switch this year, of course it's going to sell out. So we're going to have to see next year how many copies this thing sells. Maybe it'll get up there into the more classic Marios. Who knows? Maybe Nintendo will be facing a new golden age of gaming. And finally, to round out the Nintendo news here, how Nintendo Switch owners play their system is 50-50, believe it or not. I'm actually shocked and surprised by this. I'm not so surprised that there are a lot of people playing it in handheld mode. That's not really a surprise to me, because if you have a console and it does two things and you don't use the second feature, it's kind of wasted that it has that feature. I use mine probably 99% of the time in docked mode, but there's very few instances where I'll take it up at night, play some Super Mario or something, or my daughter will take it on the go. So LA Noire is the next game that's going to be on the Switch that won't fit on the hard drive. IGN, 1 second. Hey, IGN, the Nintendo Switch doesn't have a hard drive. Congratulations. Fact checking supreme. Ladies and gentlemen, the Nintendo Switch has an SD card. That's what it has, not a hard drive. Apparently, from the support page of LA Noire, if you do decide to buy the physical cartridge, the physical version, you need to expect a 14 gigabyte download before you can play the game, which contains required gameplay data as well as general game bug fixes and improvements, and that's not cool. The digital game is 29 gigabytes, and we all know that the Switch takes up about 7 of those internal 32 gigs, leaving you with 25. So if this was the only game you were going to get and download, you wouldn't even be able to download it on the internal memory because you only have 25 gigabytes roughly on the Nintendo Switch internal memory. Good job, LA Noire. Good job, Rockstar. You guys really screwed the pooch on this one. 14 gigabyte download. Are you serious? Wow. Okay. We're gonna move on. EA is not ready to commit to making more Nintendo Switch games. Blake Jorgensen told Wall Street Journal that the publisher plans to wait until the console has been out on the market a full year before deciding to make more games for it. So what you're telling me is that your development cycle is so fast that after a year you can flip a switch and say, off to on, we're going to start developing games for Nintendo Switch, and they're going to be out in a timely fashion. Because you know games take a while to develop, right, EA? So what you're saying is here, coming up in December, you're going to say, okay, we can start developing games for the Nintendo Switch, and then are you going to have a game out in the next year? Like, what? How quick do you develop games, man? But it's going to depend on FIFA 18's sales on the Nintendo Switch, whether EA wants to commit to developing for the Nintendo Switch, because they want to fully understand what the demand is. EA is basing their whole development for the Nintendo Switch console on FIFA 18. FIFA 18 on the Nintendo Switch. I'm drowning. You want to throw me a rope? You throw me a bone here? Help me out, fam! But that's not the only news we have for EA. EA says it's going to be bringing EA Access style subscription programs to other platforms. Okay? They're on Xbox One right now, and they have PC Origins access, but they want it to come to other platforms. What are other platforms? Well, we have PC, we have Xbox, so are you saying like PS4 and Nintendo Switch? Well, you just said you don't want to develop for the Nintendo Switch, so do you mean other platforms as like literally just Sony? You mean like phones? Like seriously, like what other platforms? What other platforms? Tablets? Tablets would fall under phones. If you want details on this, you can check the story. I'm not going to read into their BS on this one. The CEO of EA comments, though, on closing VISCERAL and why its Star Wars games were refocused. They made this comment, this is the important one, that they have heard the conversation about the single player versus the multiplayer, or the single player versus a live service, and it wasn't about that conversation. It wasn't about just a single player game, or it needed to be a live service, and it was more about how we get to the point where the overall gameplay experience was right for players. This is the same company basing whether or not they're going to put games on the Nintendo Switch on if FIFA 18 succeeds on the Nintendo Switch. This is the same company saying that they're going to put their services on other platforms when the only other platforms is PlayStation and phones. Do you see the grime? Do you see the smoke and daggers, the cloak and shadows? This is a complete joke, man. What ended up happening is that EA saw the success of Destiny, EA saw the success of Overwatch, EA saw the success of multiplayer games, and how long and how much money they produced for the company. And in my personal opinion, they canceled the single-player Star Wars game because it was not going to last long enough and produce enough money over time for them. That's how I feel. They can say whatever they want. That's all I have to say. Moving on to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, the creator has shown that you don't need a massive marketing budget to sell lots of copies. This is absolutely true. However, I would like to note that there are plenty of games that have come out since that do exactly the same thing as other games that have been very successful, and they don't get notoriety, recognition, and they don't blow up as much. Think about how many games have come out that have been a very great success, and then there's so many other clones or copies or precursors even to those games, and they didn't get the notoriety or the success. These games are successful for a reason. They check all the marks, they come out at the right time, they replace a game, or they are competition that do way better than a game that a lot of people really enjoy. And that's the only reason they succeed. You don't need a massive budget, you don't need massive marketing, and you don't need a AAA company behind you to make $1 million. That's absolutely true. Look at the creator of Undertale. Look at other indie titles like Spelunky. Spelunky 2 is going to be releasing soon. So there you go. You know this is true. What they're saying isn't a lie at all. But continuing in that, 40% of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, 18 million players, play on first-person servers. They were shocked by this. They were surprised by this. I gotta tell you, I really appreciate games that let you go into first-person mode. Ever since Metal Gear Solid 2 allowed me to do that, ever since the inception of Doom and Wolfenstein on PCs, ever since Grand Theft Auto 5 allowed me to swap between third person and first person, I have a great affinity towards first person shooters. I don't mind third person games that much. Not a huge fan of them, but I don't mind them, so I can understand why this was. They said they were expecting 10% of players to do this, not 40%, so a surprise to them. And finally, rounding out the news for PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is that they don't want to, or rather, they don't know if they deserve a Game of the Year award. They're going to be up for one because of the sheer number of players that are playing the game. There's no questioning that. But they said, quote, "While I would love to win it for the team, I think this year there are far better games." Green specifically called out The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn as masterpieces of game design and storytelling. And they went on to allude, talking about how it would just be another cap, another feather in the cap, and that's great and good. I think they're pretty happy, man. I think if the game literally quit, trailed off, was done, they've already made so much money. They're always so popular right now that they're very happy with what they've done. It doesn't matter what awards they get. It doesn't matter if they even get an award ever again. They've done so well with this game. So that's great. I'm glad they are humble like that. And a big thumbs up and pat on the back from me. Congratulations for what it's worth. The PlayStation Plus lineup for November 2017 has been announced. And it's pretty lacking. A lot of people have been tweeting about this, talking about this to me. They're not very happy with it. And I've said this numerous times that I think Xbox Live is better at giving away free games. I'm not saying Xbox is better themselves. I'm not even saying they have better hardware, and I'm not even saying their exclusives are better. I am just saying that the games Xbox gets are better in comparison to the PlayStation 4 a lot of the time. And the PlayStation service itself, because you get PlayStation 3 and PS Vita games as well. And a lot of people, they often complain about the PlayStation side. So the best game that you're going to be getting this month is Worms Battleground. I'll put a list of the games up on the screen here. You can see them. R-Type Dimensions is pretty cool too. But the rest of the games, like me personally, I wouldn't really care about it. Until Dawn, not really big game for me. I'm not saying it's a bad game or anything. Just a lot of these games, they aren't my thing, and I think a lot of people sympathize with me. Even Worms Battlegrounds. Worms is a great game series, and it's fun, but like it's not something I play for hours personally. So I feel bad for you if you got the PlayStation and you're getting these free games. Over on Xbox side, I can't remember all the games, but I know Nights into Dreams is the 360 game that's free, which is a really great Sega title. It's a very interesting game, and I think a lot of people will really enjoy that one. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the news for this week. This has been this week's What You Missed news. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please leave me a big thumbs up if you did. Leave me a thumbs down if you didn't, and a constructive comment to tell me how I can make things better. Do you think the PlayStation Plus games are absolutely terrible? Do you think the free games you get on Sony's side are terrible? Or do you disagree with me completely and think Xbox games are absolutely horrible? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. I've been your host, Protomario. I'm signing out. As always, good gaming. God bless, and thank you for watching.